Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Divine Cupid podcast. If you're new, I'm your host, India Watson, and if you're not new, welcome back. Hi guys, welcome back to another podcast episode. Happy Sunday. I just realized that a lot of my podcast episodes were not uploading to like my Apple Podcast and like my Spotify. So like if you guys like just see like some episodes, just know like these are not like they're not necessarily new, but they're new for you. And I'm gonna try to be like a little bit better about like seeing like what I don't know, like seeing why things aren't syncing. Cause like I have it to where it's supposed to sync like from like one platform to all. And it hasn't been doing that, I fear. So yeah, so I'm gonna upload all those episodes. They should be like up now by the time this podcast episode is up, but just know like my sincerest apologies. But yeah, happy Sunday. I honestly had a really good and productive day today. I woke up, I got brunch. I actually went to brunch with my parents, excuse me. Then after I got my toes done with my mom, and then we went shopping. I got these two bags. They're really cute. I got this like really like it's like this pink clutch bag. It's so cute. And then I seen like a Von Dutch bag, so I got that. It's like the blue and black one. I think it's white too, like blue, black, and white. So I got one of those, and then I got a couple like lounge sets, which like I really have like started to love. And then like you see like my little kitty. But yeah, I did that. I went to work, got off work, got some wings stop, about to go tear up those wings. But before I literally could do any of that, I just like wanted to like talk about, I feel like something that has just been like kind of hard for me to like put into words. I feel like it's a lot. It's a lot that I think is kind of transpiring with me like mentally and emotionally, and I feel like it's just very hard to put into words because there's so much that I could talk about, and I was trying to like figure out like how to put it all in one episode. But the consensus of the episode is for 2026, like I hope you start choosing yourself more. I think with the idea of like choosing yourself obviously comes with a lot of like self-discipline. It comes with building a lot of self-respect. It comes with a lot of building of self-love. But I think like for the phase of my life and the journey that I in, which I've talked about a lot, is just like being alone and like dealing with those feelings of being alone. Now, I don't think being alone equates to loneliness, but I think being alone can feel very lonely. One thing that I feel like has been happening in my life a lot is just like, not that I'm in isolation, because I feel like isolation can seem like such a negative term, and it can feel more like lonely, and I feel like the word isolation can make like the concept of being alone feel just really like depressing and sad. But I'm not isolated because I know I have like community around me, I have friends around me, and I'm trying to like put myself in more places and spaces where I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. But I am definitely alone a lot more, and I'm doing things alone a lot more, which is helping me build a sense of like, you know, like being rooted in myself and just like self-dependency. But it is really hard. I don't know, like it's really hard. I've been wanting to go to church a lot. Like I've been wanting to go to church a lot more recently. I haven't really been to church like consistently in a long time. Like I've had a relationship with God, but I definitely can say like I am working like towards one, but I don't really have like a strong one. And I felt like church would be like a really good start, like a really good step, and just not know like where to start or what actually like put your plans in motion and do what you say you really want to do, like baby. But we have the plan, we just need the platform, and a lot of the times the to do, and that's the biggest jump. But I had this friend that I met, but we'd never really talked or anything, and it was just like this person's here and like I'm at work, and you know, something to me, we started talking, we're like laughing and giggling, and then we just, and I go and I'm enjoying myself, and basically really long time I was like, okay, I'm very scared to go alone. I think we get really like wounded things alone. It makes me feel kind of like a loser, and it makes morning, and my sister didn't want to come with me, and I was like, I really want to go get brunch though, like I really want to go to brunch, like, I want to get cute, I want to go eat. And I was like, I want to go alone, but I feel like if I go alone, like people are gonna look at me and I'm gonna look stupid and everyone's gonna judge me. And like with the whole church thing, like I ended up going by myself, and like ended up like seeing someone like that I know, and it really wasn't that bad. And like with the whole brunch thing, I told you I went with my parents. So I didn't really embark on that journey just yet. But just the whole concept of like being alone and feeling alone, I think we get really like in our heads, and we start thinking more about like what other people think about us and how they are perceiving us and how they are portraying our time of like aloneness as something negative, when I think being alone can be something positive. It just feels negative, it feels hard, and that's something that I'm like coming to realize is like that's a really big step of getting out of your comfort zone. And I think that's a really big step of like growing as a person. We choose a lot of complacency and we choose to stay stagnant because we're in places where we feel familiar. We're in places where we feel, in touch. We're not like in any like mental or emotional or physically, different space to where we're being challenged to move, grow, and like, push ourselves out of something that we know. For me, what I know is doing things with a lot of people, having people around me, talking to my friends, being with my friends all the time. Like I'm used to having so many people around me that, just doing things alone can feel very different for me. And it's not necessarily that I don't have people to do things with. I just think like my life, my schedule is so like up down, like I'm so busy that the only time that I really have like the availability to do the things that I want to do is all I have is like me to do it with. And I think you can really think about these things like, okay, like do I want to miss out on life because of my fear of how I'm going to be perceived and like the judgment of what I feel like comes with being alone? Or am I just going to get over that fear and just continue to pursue my life despite what other people are potentially thinking? And 9 times out of 10, like nobody's worried about you so much that you are their every waking thought. Like nobody cares. I think we think so highly of ourselves that we think everybody's watching us, judging us, pointing at us, laughing at us. And literally like people are just too worried about what's going on in their own lives to be so focused and like pitted up on what you're doing. Like you're important, but you're not that important. And you're not that important to be consuming somebody else's like mental space. And in the same breath, I feel like someone on the streets could see you doing something alone, like eating brunch alone or hanging out alone or going shopping alone, and feel more moved and motivated to do things alone on their own. I feel like we miss out on a lot of fun opportunities and like fun things that we actually genuinely want to do because someone else doesn't want to do them with us. And so we just push the plan to the side as a whole and we never get to it. And I think, that fun's living a life in dissatisfaction. And like, you waited for someone to come around to do something and nobody came around. So you never got to do the things that you actually wanted to do. And now you are kind of filled with regret. And I don't want to live my life in regret. So I've been learning to like actually pursue being alone despite how uncomfortable it can feel. And I've decided to sit with the isolation, which I know I said is like a negative term, but I've decided to sit with like isolating feelings and just like, the concept of like being alone and feeling isolated and making peace with it, knowing that it's something that I'm comfortable with. Choosing yourself and like choosing to be alone and be in spaces where you are the person watering your flowers and doing things that, move and motivate you is going to help you grow. It's going to help you flourish. I really have been like pouring into myself and watering my own plants by taking every moment that I have to spend with myself or do things for myself. I've been someone who's been very like, I've always seen myself as like very simple. Like I'm not very materialistic. I'm not very like, I can be vain and I'm aware of that. Like I can be very vain sometimes, but I'm more of like just like hair and like physical appearance kind of vain. I've never really been like materialistic, like bougie. Like, I don't know. I just like, I've been like more simple. And not to say that like shopping and spending money on yourself makes you bougie and like, caring about your maintenance makes you like high maintenance. Like, I don't think none of those things. I think like I'm just a girl who wants to like pour more into herself because you can't really wait around waiting for people to pour into you. Like I got into it, bro. And this is so baffling, but I got into it with a man for having standards. Like it was so crazy to me. And I know that it kind of ties into like ego and it ties into like how it probably like made him feel by the way that I felt about myself. But just by having like certain expectations in the way that you treat yourself, you kind of expect other people to treat you just as good as you treat yourself. And because we had different values, like that, the things that I do for myself personally were things that I had to earn from him, as if I'm like a dog. I just didn't like mix with that. Like I was like, look, so like everything that I like require of you, I could do for myself tenfold. So like tenfold, sorry guys. So like I don't know why I would have to like earn or work for anything when like I can easily provide for myself. I think the way you treat yourself is a big reflection of how other people should be treating you or how other people will treat you. So if you treat yourself, like if you talk down upon yourself and people hear that, don't be surprised when someone talks down upon you. They're so accustomed to hearing you tell yourself like, damn, I'm such an idiot, or like, ew, I'm so ugly, or like, I look so fat and I'm just so fat, I'm so this and I'm so that, that they're gonna feel more comfortable being like, ew, like you're just so dumb. And you're gonna be looking at them like, who are you? Like, it's gonna like blow your mind, but you can't really like be so surprised when you get around these people. This is how you are towards yourself. The way that you are, the way that you hold yourself, the way that you keep up with yourself is a big reflection of like how other people are going to come into your life and treat you. So for me, like knowing that and like adapting that into my life, I've learned to treat myself better, because I don't want to have people come into my life and make me feel like I have to prove myself, earn something, work for something, like anything like that, because like I'm so capable of like providing and doing all of these things for myself. I've always said like I don't want people to come into my life feeling like they owe me something, because you don't owe me anything. But like because I can give myself everything. Like I genuinely believe like if I work for the world, I can give myself the world, and that's all that matters. Like I'm not really, I was very dependent on other people. I was in relationships where I'm like emotionally dependent and like, you know, like just have all this codependency, but I've been working to be a very independent individual, to where I really do want people, friends, relationships, partners, whatever, to be like a complementary to what I have. I want you to add something to my life and I want to add something to yours. So I don't want it to be that, you know, ever someone has like this weight over my head because they're like, I do this for you and I do this for you and I do that for you and la 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 la, because like I can do it for myself. So, you know, like that's my mindset, that's my mentality. So I've been working to be like a provider in my own life and pour into my own cup, and not even in hopes that someone will come into my life and pour into mine, but just like in hopes that I won't have to ever sit around and beg for someone to pour in my cup ever again, because that's something that I've done a lot, and that's something that I, you know, don't really like the feeling of, and I don't really like the way it, I don't know, reflects poorly of me. So like I said, like how you are towards yourself will reflect how other people are towards you. So I don't know, just definitely treat yourself very good. Treat yourself with the utmost respect. Talk so highly of yourself. Like literally, if you struggle talking highly upon yourself, and I don't mean this in like a self-absorbed, conceited way, like that you need to be like, oh, like I'm just the baddest and like I'm just so amazing and I'm so perfect. Like those are good personal affirmations to like, you know, say in your own vicinity, but like maybe not out loud to other people where like everybody can hear you. But excuse me, that was nasty. But if you struggle with like, you know, self-concept and the way that you feel about yourself, like go to sleep listening to affirmations. Boom, game changer. Big game changer. When I would go to sleep listening to affirmations, I go to sleep listening to two things actually. I go to sleep listening to frequencies, and then I go to sleep listening to affirmations. And then sometimes I even go to sleep listening to Bible affirmations, just because like, you know, God is working to become a bigger thing in my life. So I try to just surround myself in being rooted in something substantial and something deep, and not just rooted in like myself, because I think like the foundation of self can just be a very shaky and rocky foundation, because honestly, like as human as we are, the way that we feel about ourselves definitely changes. I will never like act like I think I'm the perfect person and I'm like amazing and beautiful and sexy and gorgeous and like wonderful to be around. Like I have my days where I just don't feel good about myself at all. And having and listening to affirmations and frequencies does make it a little bit better, because even on the days where I don't feel the best about myself, I know that overall like I feel and am blessed, and I do live a good life, even if I don't feel like that, even if my circumstances and like when I look around it looks like everything's fallen to shreds. Like, I woke up to see another day. I'm here. I have a new opportunity of life. I'm breathing, and I have, you know, some blessings that some people just don't have, like a healthy heart and like, you know, a roof over my head, clothes on my back, like a car to get to and from work. Like, I think like affirmations in a sense of not just like focusing on like the outward things of yourself and of your life, like of your appearance and things, but just like of your circumstances, like what you have around you that just is so consistent and this just so like abundant for you that may not necessarily be abundant for others, or just things that we necessarily like take for granted. I think that's really big. I don't know like the names of like the affirmations that I listen to, but if you go on Apple Music, you gotta scroll and it's like a solid pastel color, and it'll be like positive or like divine something affirmations. And then I listen to all of the frequencies just to go to sleep. I like to distract my brain. I love listening to like white noise and stuff, but that's really helped because I would have like really like bad like dark dreams, and I would be like, what the heck is going on? I'd have to wake up and be like, I rebuke, like, oh my gosh. I would have like really like crazy dreams, and like listening to like more positive things and putting more positive, like my intake has been more positive, my outtake of my subconscious mind has been more positive, and I think it's just helped me overall be less of a like dreadful person to be around and like less of a negative individual. Definitely has given me more of like a positive mind and a positive outlook and even just a positive tongue. And it's just also made me more like consciously aware. I don't really want to be someone who, when they come around, the vibes just get like really low and flat. Like, I've been like, I'm not gonna lie, a little self-conscious about like my energy and like who and how I am, because I've heard like a lot of feedback of like just like my energy as a whole, like I'm just too energetic, or like I've just been hearing that I'm like too much a lot lately. And I'm not gonna lie, that's been feeling very, very, very like discouraging and sad, because I love who I am. Like, I love my personality. I love how outgoing I can be, and to just be around people who can tell me like that's too much, like definitely makes me feel sad. And it's not necessarily like people where I can just like easily subject myself away from it and be like, okay, well, since I'm too much for you, like, you know, let me go put you in a space where now I'm just nothing at all. But I think it's definitely like impacted the way that I like think and feel. So like the affirmations I listen to are just really like, you know, they're helping me, you know, not feel as like self-conscious and insecure just because someone else said something to me. And like, you know, I may not be someone else's cup of tea, but like never dim yourself down or like change who you are. I think feedback is good. It's okay to take constructive criticism, but in the ways that I've heard it, it's felt more destructive rather than constructive. And I don't want to constantly like be in a room and feel like I have to like like dim my candle. Like, my candle shines bright, so like why would I want like a dull candle, you know, a dull flame? I don't want those things. Like, that's not who I am. But I've been really like big on just obviously like wanting to stay true to myself and like true to who I am. I'm also like, I'm trying to think, because like I was gonna write down like every single thing that I wanted to talk about, because I wanted to say it on like topic, because you know guys, like sometimes I just yap and I ramble and I'm like, okay girl, like when I listen back to my podcast episodes, I'd be like, bro, like get to the point. Like, I don't know, everybody that is in my life, like here comes a side chat, but everybody that's in my life that like listens to my podcast, like they like it. But when I listen to my podcast, I'm so overly critical of myself that I'm like, I would, if it was up to me and I like wasn't like trying to be consistent with my podcast, I probably would have like 3 podcast episodes up, because I feel like they're just not that good. And I don't know if that's like kind of crazy to say like about my own work, but I just feel like I'm like a very like yapping kind of person. Like, I just love to yap. I love to talk. So I feel like because I feel like it's not that good, because I feel like I'm not really like on subject, like an essay. Like, that's how I write. Like, when I'm writing, I'm very like concise and I make sure everything is just like to the point. But when I talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, and like this and this and this. So I don't know. I try not to be so overly critical about myself and my work, but my podcast has been doing really, really good lately. And I'm really happy about that. It makes me so excited that the journey of like what I'm going through in my life is like moving, and like it's something that other people can relate to. So I've been trying to be very like concise about this episode, but I want to tell you guys like a little story because I made like a little clip on like my TikTok about this, but I basically was talking about like how I chose myself for like the first time. And like I know this episode is like about choosing you, but I really don't want it to seem like that's an easy thing to do. I've always been someone who like loves a lot and loves very deeply, and it's just like I'm a very passionate person. I move passionately. Like I care very much about the people in my life, and I've been more like emotional and sentimental about things that walk in and out of my life more than ever because I've just like learned the gravity of the people that have made such a deep impact on me. And recently, like me and like I guess like a failed situation, a failed talking stage, failed ex, whatever you want to call it, like we're just on like okay-ish terms, like whatever terms. And I was like trying to pursue a conversation, and when I tell you guys, I felt like pulling somebody's arm and leg to get them to talk. I've never felt more like a chore and like a hassle in my life. And for me, I made the decision to just like remove them and remove myself. I was just like, and it was something that I contemplated. Like at first, I kind of I've learned to listen to myself a lot more, and that's been really helpful because the first thing in my heart told me like just remove this person, like literally just remove them, and like not out of beef because in my heart there's still so much love. It was just the fact that like I felt like such a chore, and like it made me feel bad about myself the way that I was trying to still have a connection with someone, like rather that be a friendship or a relationship. It made me feel bad because I could tell it wasn't being reciprocated, and I could tell that it was just me who wanted it. Like I could tell it was just so one-sided. So for me, what was like a really hard thing to do and a really hard task for me personally, I knew was just like water under the bridge for them. And that's hard. That's a hard thought. It makes you feel so unimportant to know like, removing myself out of your life was such a hard decision. But I know for you, like that's like just a regular Tuesday. And I think as people, we personalize our own or we make number one, we make ourselves more important in somebody else's life than we actually were. And we also minimize our importance in somebody else's life than we actually were because we convince ourselves that they don't care or we don't matter, or we just, our brain naturally tries to come up with some kind of conclusion for their lack of care or their overextensive care. And because of that, we never really see truth. We never really see what happened, and we never really see what's going on. For me, it was really hard to make that decision. It was really hard for me to just walk out of someone's life who I really cared about because I really wanted them to still be in mine. And it's really hard for me to let go because for me, I felt like, if I remove myself out of your life and if I just completely let this go, then that's it forever. Like that's it, and it's over and it's done and it's gone. And that means like this was a waste of time. And I've always thought like that. I've always thought like this was a waste of time because it didn't work out or things didn't go my way, or, it just didn't like go as planned. But I don't think it was a waste of time because in this experience, like I truly learned how to choose and value myself over wanting to be chosen and loved by somebody else. And I think that's really what like started a lot of like this I'm so valuable mentality, because as a person who thinks they are so valuable and like who thinks they are like very precious and like their time matters, I think the same equally for another person. And because I feel that way, being in a space where I feel undervalued makes me want to leave. Because I didn't think of how valuable I was as a person, being in a space where I was being undervalued didn't really matter because I didn't really think of myself as very valuable to begin with. And I think, we think that value and validation is something that is sought out from other people and that is given by other people, which fuels how we feel about ourselves. But the actuality is I've spent a lot of time with myself. I spent a lot of time journaling, and I spent a lot of time praying to know who I am and to feel the way that I feel about myself, to where it's something that is self-sufficient and not sought out from others. it was very hard to honestly like move myself out of this person's life because like, you know, I don't think because I did it means I care any less or I love any less, because I think like the level of emotion and care and value that I've placed in this person is still equally the same. But just because nothing was being reciprocated, you never want to feel like a chore to someone, and you never want to feel like a hassle, like, ever. And talking to someone and trying to connect with someone should never make you feel bad about yourself. So if you're ever doing something, like, rather that be like you're hooking up with a guy, or, you know, you got your little sneaky link, or, you know, you're texting an ex who's texting hella other people or whatever, and it makes you feel bad about yourself, you're doing something and it makes you feel like shit after, stop doing it. Stop doing it immediately and start listening to yourself, because your body's telling you things, your emotions are telling you things, your intuition's telling you things, and it shows so much to you how less you care about yourself because you continuously ignore how you personally feel. Your convictions are so important, rather like you think of it as something serious or deep or not. Your convictions are so valuable because it's your body, your intuition telling you, I don't like this. And you keep trying to convince yourself that you like something, it's only digging you in a deeper hole of something that you probably are going to struggle to get out of. So stop doing that and stop not listening to yourself, and put yourself first and walk away from the things that you think are really good for you that actually aren't. You don't have to fight for value in anything's or anyone's life if they already value you. You know, I talked about this in my last podcast episode. Like, you don't have to fight to be in you don't have to fight for your spot in somebody else's life who, you know, is actively and constantly like proving to you that they're happy to be in your life, and they're happy to have you in theirs. There we go. I was trying to think, like, I was going to say something like really stupid, but yeah, like, I don't know. It's just really important that as people, as women and men, as young adults, that, you know, we listen to ourselves a lot more, and we put our needs and ourselves and our desires first, and we get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is the only way you can grow. I think for me, which this is going to be a whole new podcast episode, but for me, a lot of my life has just felt like starting over emotionally, mentally, physically, because a lot of what I've known, the foundation was just so flawed that I have to start over, and I have to create something for myself that I actually am content and proud of, and that actually amounts for something good, and that can be long lasting. And that's something that honestly is a journey I'm excited to embark on, but I know that there's just so much discomfort with the challenge of like moving through certain obstacles and phases of like yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. But I know it's something that I'm capable and possible of doing. And it's also really important that like as you choose yourself, you're not choosing like a life of like arrogance and being conceited and thinking you're better than everyone, but you genuinely grow. Sorry, that's the train. But you genuinely grow to be just like rooted in who you are and like impacted by the people around you. I don't know. Focus on community, focus on good things, focus on putting yourself in good spaces, focus on being a good space that somebody else can like bask in the presence of being in. Like, truly make your life goal to be a better person and to be a person who's constantly choosing them. Literally just love yourself more, and which I know is easier said than done, but that's honestly where I've been at mentally, emotionally, like physically. Like I've been in a space of just like choosing myself and putting myself first, and a lot of that has also made me just very interested in people who don't share it like my best interests at heart and are just like hella grimy and selfish. Like, girl, I ain't got time for none of that. It just makes you very like selective, because you're such a precious person to be around. Your energy is so valuable. Like, literally don't let everybody sit up and have access to you, because people will just like want to experience you for the sake of experiencing you. They don't want to put anything into your life. They don't want to contribute much. They just want to say like, yeah, like I have this person in my life and and have everything under the sun to say, when not everybody deserves to like know anything about you most of the time. Like, literally, people can be weird. People are weird, and it's just very important that you know who you are, so you don't get around people who want to tell you who you are and try to define you. So that's it, honestly. That's today's podcast episode, and I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I really hope you guys take something from this episode. I will see you guys next week. If you want more content, follow my Instagram. It's at India Watson with 3 A's at the end. So Indy Watson. And then my podcast account on TikTok is The Divine Cupid. And then, yeah, that honestly concludes. And I love you guys so, so, so super much. And I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.